Hello, and welcome to Candidates Up Front. This is a public interest election program of Berks Community Television and the League of Women Voters of Berks County. I'm Judith Cranus. Our May 20th municipal primary election is fast approaching. Democrats and Republicans will select their candidates for judges, school directors, and township, borough, and city officials. This is the election where Democrats and Republicans choose the candidates who will represent them on the November ballot. However, when there is a question on the ballot, as there is in the Kutztown School District, all registered voters in that district vote on the question. It's not just Democrats and Republicans. Any registered voter should come and vote. To check your voting status, you can go online to vote.pa.gov. And that is the official state Pennsylvania website. It's a government site, very safe. And there you can register to vote. You can change your party. You can locate your polling place, or you can apply for an absentee or mail-in ballot. And the deadline to register is May 5th. The deadline to apply for a mail-in ballot is May 13th. Now, the League, in its part, is interviewing those candidates who want to be interviewed in the contested races. For each race, the candidates will get the same basic questions and have the same amount of time to answer them. Let's begin.
Hello, I'm Bill Litvin, a member of the League of Women Voters of Berks County. The featured race is County Sheriff. There are two Republican candidates on the ballot for sheriff, Mandy Miller and Chris Rothermel. The sheriff is responsible for security in county courtrooms and the movement of prisoners within the courthouse. The sheriff transfers prisoners from the county prison to and from the courts. It serves and enforces all orders of the Court of Common Pleas. The office serves protection from abuse orders, including weapon seizures. The sheriff conducts sheriff sales on houses and properties when taxes are not paid over a certain period of time. It also issues gun licenses. It's a 4-year term, and the salary is $101,694. Today, our candidate is Chris Rothermel. Welcome.
Thank you.
Please tell our viewers about yourself and why you are running.
I started in law enforcement 27 years ago, and I got into law enforcement as a way to get out of the construction industry. We were building a lot of schools and prisons, and that just didn't feel like it had much of a future in it. And I applied for 2 police jobs, and I got one. About 10 years after that, I got promoted to sergeant. I ran the traffic unit for a little while in the city of Reading, so I helped plan those big bike races in 2015 and 2016 you may have been a part of. I then made lieutenant for a short period of time, returned to the patrol division, and then 6 months later, I was on the captain's list. I was made captain in approximately January of 2020. I did that for 5 years until retiring last December.
Okay. And tell us you kind of answered some of this already, but tell us what education and background you bring to the race.
So my experience with education is that I don't put a whole lot of weight on books. I did a lot of education and training and attending courses for leadership throughout my career with the city of Reading. But I've also worked with people who over time have learned to fall back on their degrees. And if you're doing that, then you're maybe not leading as much as you should from the front. It shouldn't be a fallback. It should be about leadership and how you handle the job and those things moving forward. And it's part of the reason I'm running. I'm not done serving.
Okay, and I think you're kind of starting into my next question already. What personal qualities do you have that would help you be an effective sheriff?
I think one of my best personal qualities is that I'm willing to fall on my sword when I'm wrong. I think that one of the things I would not trade about my career is that I've been disciplined in 27 years. I think that any officer that makes it to the top of their career without having a few screw-ups probably hasn't been doing the job. So sometimes in doing the job, you get a little overzealous. And that's why discipline's there. And I've had those situations where I've been in the chief's office and I've said, I don't believe I'm wrong, give me my day off. And I've also had those situations where I've gone in and said, I completely screwed up, all my fault, I'll take my day.
Okay. And that's how you learn, I guess.
That is a huge part of the learning process.
From the job description, the sheriff's office seems, to the layperson, to be a blend of a service organization and a law enforcement agency. How do you see the sheriff's office?
I view the sheriff's office as a law enforcement agency, and that's the reason I'm running, because a huge part of my platform is that I'm not a politician. I don't plan on launching this into something career motivated to be in the state Senate. I'm 52 years old. If I win and I can continue to do this for 10 years to retirement, I think that's an equivalent job in my mind is sheriff to being police chief of a similar sized department or even smaller department. There is a blend of a service organization, as sheriffs don't do exactly what law enforcement does. The sheriff's department is an arm of the court, and I think that's an important distinction, and I would plan on keeping it moving in that direction.
Sheriff's deputies must have at least 760 hours of training in their first year. Please describe what kind of training that is.
So, although I'm not completely positive, it relates sort of to what police academy training is. So it's a shorter amount of time. Police academy training is 6 months. 760 hours would work out to just under 5 complete months. There's actually a section of that training that I would have to take. I still have active MOPEC training, so I can be a police officer. I could go out and apply for a job at any of the local departments, and I'm still registered to be a police officer. And there is a section under Act 2 where I would need a certain amount of civil training, and that would take care of the paperwork and the service, the court, the arm of the court, things that would need to be taken care of.
And I'm sorry, MOPEC is?
MOPEC is the training organization for the Municipal Police Officers Training Commission.
Okay. Do you think the current number of sheriff's deputies is the right number for the responsibilities of the office? If not, would you propose an increase or reduction in the number of deputies?
I would propose an increase, and here's the reason for that. Police departments have been short nationwide basically since 2014 and Ferguson. So there's been an issue where because of the political climate or incidents that may occur nationwide, it became unpopular to be in police work. And that happens sometimes. And we are starting to come back from that. We're even seeing increases in the hiring at the city of Reading. So I think that's a big part of it. The increase in numbers comes from things like, so they did something really good for the sheriff's department while Sheriff Wheatnick was still there. They increased their hours from 35 hours a week to a full 40-hour work week, which meant instead of their first 5 hours of overtime being straight time, they now got that extra little bit in their salary. But to do that, they sacrificed 9 permanent positions in the department. And we're already short. Everyone's short. Police departments are short. The sheriff's department is short. In courts, they're short in warrants. And I think proposing an increase and arguing those points however I need to is going to help the department grow and move forward.
Okay. A hired security firm screens people entering the county buildings. Please explain what the risks are in a courtroom that require additional security and what are deputy sheriffs trained to do in a courtroom.
Well, specifically what they're trained to do in a courtroom, I'll be honest, I don't really know what they're trained to do in the courtroom. And I just want to be honest about that. In any job that you take, any new police chief situation or any sheriff, there's going to be a learning curve where you're in the job for a few months. But the general security part of it is that court can be very unpredictable. And when you're dealing with people, especially in criminal trials, anything unpredictable can happen in those situations. And we have had defendants attempt to attack judges. We've had sheriffs in the courtrooms interfere in that. They're there to basically stop that from happening and block that from happening. We've also had law enforcement officers who were present in court when those things happened, who sprang into action to help with that security. That's a large part of it. It doesn't seem like it because if you're watching court TV or you're seeing it on television, it doesn't seem that dangerous. But there's always the unpredictability of it.
Are there changes you would like to make to the office?
There's a couple of changes I would like to make. When you're in law enforcement and you promote, We study for 3 months, basically the equivalent of 3 college courses to take that test. After that, if you pass the test, then you move on to a board of chiefs of police or high-ranking officials from around the area usually. That's the typical standard for law enforcement. So there's a high pressure to it. There's a point of it that's supposed to induce stress. Currently in the Sheriff's Department, there exists a friendship and handshake section. So if I hired a guy 2 weeks ago that I went to high school with, but there's someone there that's there 10 or 20 years, and I need a sergeant, I can shake my high school friend's hand, and on Monday, he's the sergeant. That creates a kind of dissension in the troops, and it causes a rift between leadership and the deputies. And I think that instituting an interview process, at the very least, would even the score and allow people who've been on the job for many years, who maybe may not be favored for those aspects, an opportunity to rank up and show us what they've got.
The sheriff records personal data on those who register for guns. Do you think those records should be confidential or open to the public?
Confidential. So the Sheriff's Department keeps personal data on those who register for permits to carry firearms. It's an important notation that that's a permit to carry a firearm concealed. In Pennsylvania, if you open carry, you're not breaking the law. That means open carry means that anybody walking down the street, if they looked at you, could see the weapon being secured to your person somehow. And when that happens, there's not a law being violated. We've sometimes been called to situations in police work where people think that that's against the law or they feel threatened by that, but open carry is the law. It's already easy enough in Berks County to find out where someone lives with your name. I can simply do a parcel search and I can find out where you live, what your address is, and Google will tell me how to get to your front door. Releasing personal information on those who register for permits to carry concealed doesn't do anything except, I think, fan the flames of insecurity and worry.
Are you involved in volunteer or community work? And if so, please tell us about it.
I am. I am currently the Vice President of Pennsylvania State Police's Camp Cadet program. And I've worked with that program for 23 years. I've been the Vice President for about the last 10. And for those of you unfamiliar with it, it is a statewide program, but Troop L Barracks covers Berks, Schuylkill, and Lebanon counties. And it is a camp that occurs the 3rd week of August in Douglasville. And we bring together kids from the city and the county and the country, and we give them a mock police academy experience. So these kids, boys and girls, ages 12 to 15, are divided up into squads of between 8 to 11 kids, depending on attendance. And those kids are given tasks throughout the week. They do team challenges, team problems. There's presentations that we bring in. They see K-9, they see Berks County SWAT do their thing, they see BCERT come in. We let them scuba dive, there's horseback riding. We land a couple of helicopters if the weather's good. It's a really neat experience. And even the kids that get homesick by Wednesday are usually like, okay, it's hump day, we can get through the rest of the week. And at the end of the week, they just had a blast and they're happy to be there. And it's been a very rewarding experience for me to be a part of it. And I'm privileged to be a part of it for as long as I've been.
Am I too old to attend?
Yes.
Oh, darn.
But you could stop by. We love visitors from the outside.
Okay.
I'll give you the dates before I leave. It's
Excellent.
Always a pleasure to have people come and show an interest and maybe even report about it here and let people know what the program's about.
Very good. Okay, we've reached the end of our interview. Please make your closing statement, and you have plenty of time.
Okay. I'm not done serving the citizens of Berks County. I loved my career in law enforcement, and that's why I'm running for Berks County Sheriff. I've known a lot of these guys that work for the Sheriff's Department for over 20 years. We have worked details together. We've worked interdepartmentally. More recently, at the end of my career, it was me that suggested that the city of Reading reach out to Sheriff Wheatnick so that when we could not fill overtime positions for the city of Reading for special events, that we offer it to them. I know that a shortage of overtime is something that the deputies wish there was more of. So in doing so, when our people don't want to work that, instead of an event being shorthanded, which can be dangerous because you're always doing traffic control at events like this, the Sheriff's Department has now been filling in and helping us out with large events like the annual Christmas parade.
Okay. Thank you, Chris Rothermel, for sharing your views with us. Viewers, please remember there is another Republican candidate for sheriff, Mandy Miller. You will find candidates' upfront interviews on BCTV and its website and YouTube page. For more information on candidates, please go to the League's online voters guide, vote411.org. That's vote411.org. For more information on election procedures, contact the Berks County Election Services 610-478-6490. Thank you for watching Candidates Up Front. Goodbye.